Hey there, City Skylines fans. I'm Kodiak the Kodiak, and I am thrilled to dive into this brand new trailer of City Skylines 2 that the team at Colossal Order just dropped during the Xbox Game Show. If you haven't seen it yet, don't worry. I've got the link in the description below for you to check out if you want to watch it before we dive into every little detail that they've included. While you're down there, drop a like and subscribe because I will definitely be coming out with more City Skylines videos in the future as more and more details get announced for City Skylines 2. This trailer is an absolute goldmine of information, and it is filled with tons of jaw-dropping features that you might have actually missed. I've already analyzed every second of it on my Twitch stream, which you can find in the description below, where I stream cities every Monday through Friday at noon Eastern. Pop in, we'd love to see you. City Skylines 2 pre-orders are currently the 5th highest seller on Steam. I am blown away by the hype for this game. Alright, enough talking. Let's dissect this trailer together and uncover every hidden gem that Colossal Order has put inside this trailer for us. Get ready to be blown away by the future of city building. So before I hit play, I do want to shout out $2.20, who was the one who actually made the map that they ended up using in the trailer. So $2.20 had early access to the game, and they were able to play the game and actually built the map that you're about to see. So that's super cool. You can check out their video. I will put it in the little thing that's up over here and in the description below if you guys want to look at their video showing off the city that they built and talking about their experience. They can't talk about everything because they obviously played the game, so I'm going to try to break down everything that I see, whereas $2.20 will specifically be looking at and talking about the stuff that they were able to experience and look at. So keep an eye out for that. Take a look at that. Let's watch the trailer. I'm going to have the audio off for this because we don't need to look at it. So already we're going to start and pause because immediately we're kind of left off with a couple things here. So first off, the roads look really fluid, and we'll let this come all the way out so we can see this actual bend here. And one thing I'm going to notice is right away that there is clearly like a little issue with the crosswalk. That was the first thing I noticed when I watched the trailer was a bug. However, another couple things that I noticed, because I did also watch City Planner Plays Phil's video on this, which will be somewhere linked somewhere else if you guys want to watch his video on it, that there's some dead trees. And I didn't notice this the first time I watched it. And Phil made out a good point, like maybe that nature has a cycle where the trees die, because this doesn't look like it's fall. It doesn't look like this is a time when trees should be losing its leaves. So where do these dead trees come from? Are they a natural spawning asset that you can place in the city? Is this just something that, you know, naturally spawns out there, or is this like trees dying and they have to go through like a cycle and then they regrow? And I thought that was a really cool concept that he brought up in this video. First off, and then secondly, this is clearly a tram road. You can kind of see the tram lines here. You have speed limits right on the road. I don't know if that's for your eyes. I don't know if that's like actually part of the road. If you go into like the cinematic view, if it'll actually show the speed limit signs or what on the paint on the roads. But I thought that was a really cool feature. But the first thing I'm going to notice is the fact that the roads look like they connect really smoothly. They look really good. The lighting in this trailer, you guys will see, is amazing. I think the lighting is one of the biggest steps up from the previous game. It is one of the things that when you look at a City Skylines 1 save and you look at somebody who's playing a super modded version of the game and you look at their screenshots and pictures that they have of the game, the lighting is what sells it. And I'm so excited to see that really good lighting has been added to the game. But first off, there's really not too much else to this. There's 2-lane highways. We have some cool, what looks to be different types of road lines in here as well. For anybody who plays detailed and likes the really be meticulous about the types of lines that are actually on their roads, this could mean that we have some line tools in the game, which is really cool. And as we back out here, we notice that the cars are still kind of doing whatever they're doing down there, but we'll keep zooming out. And before we go too much further, I'll scrub back just a little bit. As you notice, we have some merging lines up over here, and we look at, there's an extra lane that kind of like comes on right here. And I think that looks really fluid and nice. And it's just another example of how they've completely reworked how roads work. And you'll see that throughout the trailers, that roads they're a lot different. They're a lot more fluid. They're a lot nicer. And I think that's going to lead to a better game. Now, first off, I'm going to pause it, and this is the perfect time to pause it, because if you notice, there's a new building fading on, and you'll notice some redevelopment happening. But there's a lot of other things that I kind of noticed from this shot. So one of the things is the types of buildings over here. on this shoreline here, they look like European-esque apartment buildings. These do not look very American to me as an American. I've never seen anything that looks like that here in America. So we will have regional building themes, which is very cool. On the right side over here, this looks to be like some kind of water treatment facility. We can see the drums over here. So that's something that's going to be in the game. Obviously, pollution and water treatment. I would assume that would hold over. We have the rail lines down here. We have some row homes over here, and then we have some lower density homes. And as you notice, as this trailer will zoom in, you notice the buildings start redeveloping, and they get bigger and bigger and taller and taller. And so when I first watched the trailer, I was like, man, are we going to have different density options than just high density and low density? And just wait, it gets better. So as we zoom in, we'll cut to this next shot. You have a passenger train here and a freight train here. They're sharing the same rail lines as they cross this road, and it looks like this train's going to come through. How rail is going to work, I had no idea. The trailer didn't show off too much more about rail, but this gives a really good shot of the roads. And if you notice the roads, there is these faded white lines where the cars go. And I don't know what that signals, because it looks like that's there when you build the roads themselves, as we'll see later in the trailer, that the roads, as you build them, will have these white lines. And I don't know if that's like a wear thing, and like they'll maybe change color as the roads get wear and tear, or if that's just to signal to you that like this is a path that cars can take. Like maybe Traffic Manager Presence Edition, like road tool exists where you can actually pick where you want the cars to go with the little pick quip. I'm not too sure. It does look like they have automatic signs for the roundabout, so it does look like they have a much better roundabout system in this game, so that way you don't have to use Traffic Manager, if the mod, in order to make your roundabouts function realistically. And that's pretty much all we get from this view right now. And then it'll cut to a side shot of it, and we notice over here there's these big old buildings, and you'll find out later that these are the university. So there will be an interactable, upgradable campus DLC-esque feature in the game that you guys will see in a little bit, which is really cool to see that they're implementing different DLCs already in the base game. I'm very excited about that. You'll also notice that the tram cuts across the roundabout, which is really cool. So you'll be able to actually draw things across the roundabout. It doesn't look like it messed anything up, broke any nodes. And as a matter of fact, I don't know that there is nodes in this game, and you guys will see what I'm talking about here in a minute. Something else I've noticed is when we look out into the actual skyline of the map, you'll notice that the upper parts of the mountains don't have trees. I don't know, maybe trees don't grow well in upper atmospheres. This is something that could actually potentially be a thing, because when I've actually looked at like where the trees are growing, it seems to be the taller peaks that don't have trees. So there could be something with altitude and nature, because as you'll see as the trailer goes on, where you place buildings is actually kind of important. It'll actually tell you like, hey, don't build residential here, because as we've seen with the newest DLC in City Skylines, the hotels and retreats, you actually need like nature and stuff like that to meet certain buildings satisfaction. So there could be something with altitude. This is just me spitballing, assuming. I don't know for sure. And as we see here, we have this night skyline. $2.20 made a point that they said that their favorite part of the game was the seasons and the environment themselves. So they left on the day-night cycle the entire time they were playing. They could turn it off. They chose to leave it on. Seasons, they didn't say anything about that, but they made a point that they left it all on, and they thought it was great. And in Cities 1, they would turn it off regularly, but in Cities 2, they wanted it on. It added to the experience for them, which is great. That's amazing. Being able to like feel fully immersed in your city and see it live is huge. It's huge. So as we go through, the water looks obviously it's a little bit rate destroyed by my thing, but it looked all right. I didn't have any issues with that. As we see in the sky, the Aurora Borealis in the skyline, which was super cool. Love to see that. So then this shot right here, it's going to come up, and if you watch the trailer, you'd know that the city slowly builds away. And there's a really important thing from this shot that I don't know that a lot of people saw. And I only watched City Planner Plays and $2.20 react to the trailer. So maybe Biffa or somebody else in the City Skylines community also noticed this, but as this will go away, I'm not sure if there was a dam here and this is a dam, but this to me looks like roads with retaining walls. And as we play through this, you'll see this fade away here, and you'll notice it'll all go away together. And to me, it kind of looks like this is a road with a retaining wall built into it, which is really cool. That's not something we had in Cities 1. And if you look at mountainous areas throughout the world, you'll know that they have a retaining wall around steeper cliffs on roads, which is super cool. I don't know if that's something that's built into the road. You have to build a special road in order to get it in the game, but if that is what that is, that's super cool, and that's a really neat addition. Now, obviously, this wide shot shows a lot of stuff, right? We have this castle-like bridge, which looks really cool. We have this tower. Now, I don't know if this has to do with an airport. This area doesn't look like it has an airport, so this, to me, this looks like a sky tower of some kind. Maybe it is an air traffic control tower, but I don't know where the airport for this would be. Is it over here? Air traffic control's all the way over here? Potentially. I'm not sure. As we look, we'll notice some more Skylines buildings over here. I'm going to press play so that way we can kind of get the daylight to come through, or sorry, not daylight to come through, the buildings to kind of cycle through, and they'll leave the map, and they'll kind of start to go away, and you'll watch the buildings kind of destroy down a little bit and then completely go away. You'll notice this road's still here, and then the next scene it disappears, and you notice that this is a cliff area, and that's where I got the idea that I think that's a retaining wall road. So I thought that was a really cool thing. The trailer is all about, like, we don't have these cities without you building them, right? That's kind of the whole plot of the text kind of going along with it, which is really nice. We have our first look here at, first off, the UI and the terrain tool. This is where it gets really good because there is a lot of information that we can garner just from the UI about what's going to be in the game, which is amazing. So first off, the first thing is not even this, but in the bottom left over here, this is our RCI. So this is the residential, commercial, industrial bar from Cities 1 on the next level. So from what I gathered, there's 3 tiers of residential that you have to build. These first 3 lines, as you'll see throughout the trailer, are residential. They're different shades of green. So I believe that there's low density, medium density, and high density, and each density has tiers, is what it kind of seemed like, because there is going to be 6 different options, as you'll see later. But they only fill up 3 bars. So I'm very interested to see how that works. Then there will be commercial, industrial, and then office will be down here. And office has been recolored to purple. That's what the purple color is. So it's no longer this just a lighter color of blue from commercial. It's a whole different color. It's purple now. But back over here now we have the brush tool. I believe the blue is like the feather lines, and then the purple is the actual like what you're flattening, and then this is the feathering edge, I believe. Not sure. So you have brush strength here, which is set to 35%, and the brush size is at 300. So you can kind of see like the general size of things. I believe that a lot of the stuff is similar in size, but is scaled differently or broken down in different bits. And you'll see that when it comes to the zoning grid later. But we have 4 different options for the brush tool. We have plants up here, and then I don't know what this is, paths. So those seem to be the only options in this tab. But as we look down here, we'll have the tile view. So this is where we'll obviously be able to buy more tiles. They have 167 available. I know that they increased the size of the map, but I have no idea what that means. I have no idea how much space that actually is, but it seems like they have 167 something. They have Megalopolis, so they're playing at the highest level. Play, pause, time. Down here we have the temperature and the sun. It's in spring. They haven't renamed the town. It's still Eaton, but they do end up renaming it at some point. We have the population of the town, how much they're gaining and losing per hour, money lost per hour, happiness, photo view. This ends up being a house. I'm not sure what this button means. We'll see that later, though. We have some kind of informational, this is probably statistics. I think this is a transit view. I'm very interested to see why this is down here and not in with the public transit. But as you can see, it kind of looks like a mini metro-esque style transit view is what this appears to be. I have no idea. They don't show this off in the trailer. This is clearly loans and like taxes and stuff like that. We have the demolish tool is here, landscaping, which we are currently in. I have no idea what this text bubble means. This is clearly parks or trees, landscaping, stuff like that. That isn't just terrain management. Again, I'm not sure what the leaf tool is then, if that's the case, but this, I would assume, would be parks because there's a park bench in there. We have a bus for transit, police, fire, education, waste, also recycling, medical, water, power, roads. I believe this is unique buildings. I believe they put probably all of that into one. If I had to take a guess, we have districts of some kind, I believe, or maybe this is some other new feature that I just don't know about, but I would assume that this would be district view. And then we have zoning. So just from the UI alone, we can tell out some little clues, especially with the RCI meter, giving us more hints that, hey, the way you're zoning stuff is a little different in this game, which is super cool. And then up here we have info views, which we'll see a greater version of in a little bit. So now we've seen them place some roads right here. So they obviously have a road grid setting, which is super cool. So you can build just straight grid, a huge section of a grid already straight off the bat, which is super cool, super useful, super helpful. We can see some different road types right off the bat. So we have covered bridges, regular arch bridges, like some kind of like under suspension bridge. I don't know what they're called. We have regular roads. This looks to be asymmetrical road. I could be wrong, or it's just roads with parking. I'm not too sure what this means yet. As you look at these roads, there's like some, I don't know what it is, but it looks like something's built out underneath it, which makes me think that potentially these roads have power, water, and sewage, and maybe something else, internet, I don't know, built in under the road already, which would be super cool. So you might have noticed some other things. So the tool mode has a bunch of different options in here now, which makes it look like maybe some of the modded versions of how to build roads are built into the base game. Tons of different snapping options, which is super cool. We have elevation. Elevation is in 5 steps now. And then you can jump in meters, which is also really cool. I have no idea what this button means. I didn't get to see what that one is. But then at the top, we have some other different options. So I believe this one's probably highway, some different densities. We have probably junctions of some kind. I'm not sure what that one would be for. Maybe just like the workshop, how you can get Timbo's intersections or something like that. Roundabouts here. Parking. Super cool that they've added like a necessity or like different road types or options for parking. I think that's great. It's incredibly realistic, especially for American cities, to like have unnecessary, ungodly amount of parking. So that's really cool that they added that in. And then some kind of road maintenance thing. I thought it would be really cool to have road wear and tear like as a more prominent feature in the game. So maybe they've included that in there, but still really cool. All of this is really sick so far. And they've obviously built out the road. Let's go back. As we can see, when they build the road out, there's a ton of different information being shown to us as they're building the road. So we have angles, we have distances, so you can get really fine with how we're actually building the road and all of the information that we're actually getting. My assumption is that under the snapping tab, you can turn these off, and that's what's actually giving you this information potentially, or that just stays up every single time. I'm not too sure, but it's super cool. Oh, something I also forgot to bring up earlier about the UI, Chirpy's back. Don't worry, guys. Don't worry. He's not going anywhere. All right. So they built out that grid. Now, this is what I meant by it doesn't seem like there's nodes. There's obviously angle points where they're building these angles out. Now, I have no idea how the road tool works. $2.20 says it's a lot more intuitive, which is great. When they were playing, they were like, oh, wow, this just is like so much easier to do now, which is super cool. I'm very excited about that. And as you'll see here, it'll automatically build intersections as you drag them across the road, which is amazing. Like, just boom, it built it right across the street like that. I'll try to get this right on the... So we'll go frame by frame here. And as you can see, as they place the road, it auto makes the intersection, which is super cool. I mean, like, that's super great. And then you can see everything starts to like kind of disappear. And now you just have a road here. Super cool. It looks like there isn't a grid on it. I'm not sure if that just like needs to render in or something, but you can see they're already starting to build the next road straight off of it. But the intersection is automatic, which is super cool. Editing. Kodiak here. I know, I'm wearing glasses now. Something I totally forgot to point out was the actual grids of the actual roads themselves. So they're actually 6 grids now, so they go 6 deep instead of 4. I don't know if the grid depth is any different. Much like how they changed how many tiles there are in a map, I don't know what that means in terms of map size. So granted, there's more tiles, but we don't know how much bigger the actual map is itself. We just know that there's a lot more tiles in the game, right? So you have more options necessarily. And maybe they announced the map size and I just didn't remember it. But the same thing could be said about grids. That that 6 depth grid could be the same as 4 depth from Cities 1, and they just broke it down into more grids to allow for more customizability in terms of zoning and buildings, or it could mean it's actually 2 more deeper. So something to point out, I just totally forgot to talk about it in the video, so wanted to throw that in there. All right, back to old me. So this shot right here just showed from a blank grid to a filled-in grid, and there is also a lot of little bits of information inside of this right here. So there's obviously like a ton of parked cars on the road. I haven't seen a ton of traffic at all in the trailer. I have no idea how traffic is in this game. It doesn't look very prevalent or apparent based on the trailer, which makes me kind of question how important traffic management's actually going to end up being in this game. Now, I don't know if it's just how $2.20 built their city or what, but there is really not a lot of cars in this trailer. Another thing, when you look at this top-down shot, you'll notice there's lots of little details in the backyard, which looks super cool, and there is a ton of little parking lots everywhere. So I wonder if you just like have a necessity for parking, if that helps or hurts certain buildings, depending on if it's residential or commercial. I'm just very excited to see how all of these aspects kind of interplay with one another, but just a ton of little bits of details that we get. So as we can see from this shot, you'll see these buildings start to slowly zone in, and we get our first taste of the zoning view and the informational view, which is super exciting. So in here, this is what I was talking about when I said that there is different types of demands. We have 3 different types of residential demand down here now, which is super cool. I love that we have middle density now, and there's 6 different zoning options. It does appear that there's residential. This looks like some kind of like row home residential, and then it looks like you start to get into like apartments and then like skyscrapers and blocks and stuff like that, and you'll notice that it starts to get darker and darker. I wonder if these are different variations that you can have, or if it's actually like each one is a different like density of zoning. I have no idea how this is going to play out, but it's super cool. We'll notice that there is the different zoning options in here. So it looks like there's residential, there is commercial, industrial. This is the new office. It's purple now. And then this is all of the industrial zoning types. So your lumber, your ore, you'll see there's a bunch of different types of farming stuff now. There's cotton, there's corn, and there is wheat. Sorry, there's not corn, or if there is corn, there's also carrots. We'll see that later in the trailer, but there's a bunch of different options inside of this for the different industrial types, the specialized industrial types. You'll notice that there's different types of themes down here too, so maybe they'll come out with theme DLCs. So there's European and American, so you can choose which type you actually want in different parts of your city maybe. And up here, we begin to see our first little bits of the info view. So up here, we have residential buildings, residential signature buildings. No idea what those are, no idea how to get them, but we now have residential signature buildings. We can toggle these on and off on the left, which looks like a much nicer UI element. Residential suitability is interesting, so it tells you, hey, this is a good area to build residential, or hey, this road is awful, please do not build residential buildings here, right? So you can put that there, and then there's also ground pollution. So that's all really cool stuff that they have in there. So, and you see the buildings start to pop up. Now, we are in the office view over here. And as you notice, you'll start to notice throughout this trailer, it does seem like $2.20 was having some kind of warning issue with a lot of their buildings. I think it had to do with land value. $2.20 did say that there was a lot more options with policies that were causing them to pick and choose and toggle them on and off, that there was a lot more management of your actual city rather than like in Cities 1, if you played it a lot, you would reach a certain point after every game, maybe after like 2 or 3 hours, where like it was just smooth sailing. You could just like basically turn your brain off and just like build, expand, build, expand, build, and expand. And there really wasn't much of a challenge. And they said that this game, you actually had to be a little bit more in depth with managing your city all the time as you were building it. So that's really cool if you thought that the first game was maybe a little boring after a certain point and you were just building an art project basically. This game, not going to be as artsy as it is management-y maybe. I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know how much that's actually going to play a factor, but still really important thing to take note. And we see some more office information up here as well for office suitability. As we can see, they don't want to put the office buildings here, but they want to put the office buildings up here on these green roads. So no idea what that is. There's a little icon above this building here. I'm not sure if it wants to be a different density. As you can see, there's 2 different types of density options, and it looks like this one has the lower density option. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that entails, but still something really important to point out. So as you can see, they're building the roads here. and dragging out this intersection. You'll notice that there's these little construction signs, probably just to signal the cars like, hey, this isn't drivable. As we go back just a little bit, you'll notice that it's on every unfinished road. So that could just be the unfinished road segment, like, hey, this doesn't have a connection, no cars can come through here. And as they connect the roads up here, you'll see overlapping items. And then as you drag them together, it'll say link. So it gives you this link symbol, like, hey, this is linking these two roads together. So I thought that was really, really interesting little tidbit. Lighting looks fantastic. And you can see the bridge here. It looks like parallel line tool is built into the game. Very cool. Very excited about that. You'll see a bunch of different bridge options here. So these are highway options, and there's highway bridges, a bunch of different types of highway bridges, probably just with lane density amounts. So that's really cool. You can put parallel mode on and you can set the spacing. So that's also super cool. Very cool. So as we can see right here, this is a picture of the university. There's clearly a medical warning here of some kind. We begin to see some more of the specialty buildings here. And as we click on some of these specialty buildings, you'll see that these specialty buildings have upgrades, and you build them as like expansion units on the actual building themselves. I'm not sure about the customizability of like where you can place them or not. You'll notice that they'll build an expansion wing right here, and it'll overtake this courtyard. But over here in the top left, you'll see a massive complex that offers education for the academically oriented citizens, provides the 4th level of education. So in City Skylines 1, we only had 3 levels of education. It was the elementary school, the high school, and then the university. And now there is 4. So if this is the university, there has to either be a college level, a pre-K, or a middle school added somewhere in between that range. So, or maybe they've included libraries into somewhere into that range. I'm not too sure, but still really interesting. You'll notice the upkeep, the efficiency of the building itself, which we'll see a little bit more of later when we look at the coal power plant. The number of employees that work here, number of students, average time to graduation, the dropout rate. So this is basically just kind of a campus DLC in a way, kind of added into the base game. But again, I don't know how customizable this lot is. This could have been just a huge lot that you have to plop down, and that's the university. I don't know how customizable this is at the end of the day, but it does look like you still can see your grid as you're looking at this, which I find really interesting. There is a landscape button. I don't know if that lets you customize the actual area around your university or not, but just a certain thing. And then the extension ring tells you how much it costs an extension to the facilities that houses even more classrooms and lecture halls, tells you how much population, noise pollution it creates, and the upkeep. So, and there's also noise pollution tab over here on the left, which we'll look at later when we look at the coal power plant, but you can see that they tell you a little bit more details about the building when you're building it, which is super cool. Not sure what the rest of this stuff does. I don't know if that's the move tool, powers on and off. Then, when you can actually like hover over the actual building and find it on the map. So, I'll go frame by frame here as they kind of go in here, and you'll notice that they selected this, put their cursor over this part, and then it wanted to build the extension wing, and it kind of put it right over here. And they're highlighting over it so the thing goes away, and then they place it. You'll notice the upkeep kind of changed. The noise pollution is now medium because I believe, I don't know if this is right, if you combine 2 low noise pollutions, it'll create a medium. I don't know how noise pollution is going to work. This is just a guess. Maybe that's how it works. Maybe it's just because both were kind of like on the higher end of low. I don't know. But anyways, we now have the extension wing. The efficiency is still the same. The upkeep costs a bit more. And now there is room for 38 employees instead of the 28 that was there. So, and it shows that it's now built. So, really cool thing. We can show all of the upgrade stuff. I'm not sure if this was right after they built the thing or what, but you can notice all the stars highlighted for the building. So that there's clearly like some kind of an upgrade feature going on here. And I noticed that there's some other things like thumbs downs over here and some land value issues, as well as some kind of, I don't know, death care, I think these look like hearses to me, but they look like they're selecting the police station. So maybe, there's something going on with the police station and it's triggering all of these, and you can see the police station and maybe some upgrades, or these are just new police station buildings that you can place. In here is the tram building, so we kind of get a look at the transportation tab over here on the left. This screen's going to have a lot of information as well. So we're going to see tourists, citizens using it. So it's kind of similar to the last one, but you can toggle on and off stuff in the map legend as well. And you can also see cargo transportation. So how much is actually being transferred by each means is also in this tab. So this is going to be under the transportation tab. You can pick which theme you want, obviously. And then under here, we're looking at the tram. So these are all of the tram options built into the base game. You can see all of the linking stuff. It looks like they, I'm not sure if they just placed this tram building. It looks like they did, because now they're getting all the thumbs downs, like when you place a building next to residential stuff and they don't like it and they all get the unhappy faces. I think the thumbs down, the dislike button is the new unhappy face, which is super cool. Another really interesting part of this is the merging of roads. This is very fluid through here, which is something that was really not super easy to do in the vanilla game of City Skylines, but this looks really fluid. It's lined straight up. It looks great. I'm really impressed by the new road network situation. I think it looks really nice. So we're gonna keep playing now. Over here, we'll just notice some, just back to the tram network. We'll see the line view over here, which is like a big ring, and it shows you where the actual tram is, how many passengers, where its tram depot is, the line, all that sorts of stuff. We'll come over here. We'll actually see the line in red here. The ticket price, the assigned vehicles. There's 2 vehicles assigned, but only 1 is active. I have no idea how that works. You can select which vehicle model you want, and then it tells you just some other information about it. And they say make it yours. You can kind of see this rooftop pool over here. The lighting looks so good in this game. The lighting looks so good. You'll notice there's clearly some kind of important building over here, and then you have a bunch of parking lots, some roads, some stuff that we've already seen. However, that's when we get into the actual building detail information. When you click on it, you'll say 386 Hamilton Street. So buildings are no longer called the Morgan Residence. It is actually named after the road, which is cool. Very happy, excited about that. You see Hamilton Street right here. Level 2, this is level 2 building of some kind. It looks like it's one of the upper level of developments. So this is either, I believe it's the 3rd tier of development that we saw previously. So I believe that would be probably in the middle section right here. As you can see, there is 25 residents here. There is 15 households. The average wealth is wealthy, which is pretty good. And then if we look in here, we can see a bunch of details. So we can see that there's 10 adults and 15 seniors. There's no kids. The number of residents currently living in the building. Citizen age determines their educational opportunities and whether or not they can work. Age also affects citizen health as they grow older. They are more prone to falling ill. So elder care, if we remember from City Skylines 1, potentially could be a thing in City Skylines 2. And down here, we can see the education levels. So we have 1 uneducated, 4 poorly educated, 12 educated, 3 well-educated, and 5 highly educated. Again, this just kind of plays into the 4 tiers of education that we now have. Education level determines the citizens' job opportunities, wages, and their work efficiency. Their average education level also affects how much garbage they produce. So that's an interesting mechanic that I don't remember being in City Skyline 1. As well as the information here on the left side, which appears to be households. So as far as I understand it, these are all of the households that will exist in City Skylines 2, as how I understood it. I noticed that Phil, City Planner Plays, did not know what these were. My assumption, since I saw the trailer initially, was that these were going to be the households. So you could probably maybe click on them and find out detailed info about the actual residents that are living in the city, which is super cool. And before we move on, if you'll notice, this actual housing thing down here is opened up. I wonder if this is policies. Again, I don't know what this button is. It's just a house, not something we had in the previous game. So as we press play here, you'll notice we have this coal power plant, and we're going to rewind just ever so slightly. And I'm going to go frame by frame here until we hit this. And as you notice, this is what the coal power plant looked like when we actually cut to this image. And if we notice down here, there's all of these upgrades. So we have, there's a coal storage upgrade of some kind. There is the additional turbine, which is what they have selected, and they end up inevitably placing. They get 50 megawatts more voltage, pollutes a little bit more, pollutes air a little bit more, and pollutes noise a little bit more. Tells you how much it costs, the upkeep. So these are basically just all the different options. And if you noticed over here, here's everything. They're at 134% efficiency. The upkeep is here. The employees are here. a power plant that burns coal to produce electricity, fairly inexpensive to build and maintain, but generates a lot of pollution, can be upgraded with additional turbines, enlarged coal storage, exhaust filter, and an additional furnace. So we're building the additional turbine here, and I'm going to go through frame by frame as they have advanced furnace kind of highlighted up here, but they have the turbine selected, and as you see, they will build the turbine. So more efficient, allows the same power output with less fuel. I'm not sure if that's like when building the turbine, you get to select a different sub option. I don't know how that works. So, or if this is just maybe like a policy or something. I have no idea. So, as you can see, now they have kind of hovered it over. They're ready to place it, and it added that whole thing. It removed the coal storage. One thing I noted when I was watching this trailer on Twitch was that there is still trees inside of here, and they look like they're part of the map. So, in City Skylines 1, when you would place a building, it would take up that entire block. They would take up the entire grid. When you look at the building here, it clearly is taking up that entire grid. It's taking up that entire area, but it's not using it all. It's not deleting everything that's in it. So if you maybe had trees or bushes or certain things that maybe meet certain height requirements, I don't know. It's very clear to me that they didn't destroy everything. So maybe buildings are a bit more modular and they don't actually fit that rigid square, or maybe it just doesn't destroy trees in spots of the building that it doesn't need to, which is a super cool feature. Another thing to note is that the power line kind of runs off the side here, and it actually comes into the actual power line system. So no idea how the power line system works, but it's clearly different if it's fully connected to the power plant. Like everything has to be connected to this grid. So then here they place it. You'll notice the efficiency went down. But they placed the building. I don't know if this was just an example of how this works, but you can see it's built. Not too much else to say about that. In this one, we have the pollution tab. So the average pollution here is 12%. It's low. And then you have the different options of pollution. So there's traffic air pollution, the actual air pollution sources, the air pollution, and then wind speed direction. So that's pretty neat. And then as you can see here, we have a full list of all of the info views that will be available. And they're clearly broken up into different like kind of tiers. I'm not sure if it's just they're put them into rows and then each row kind of spills into the next row as it kind of categorizes itself is what it kind of seems like. But they clearly clicked on the police one and they were able to, I don't even know if they clicked on it. I wonder if hovering over it just pops up the info view and you kind of just get like a gist of what everything looks like here. So you can kind of see that like, oh, this area does not have a police station anywhere near it, which is interesting because early in the trailer, we were looking at this area and they were kind of like clicking on the police view. So something to keep a note of. They now have clicked on it and you'll be able to see a lot more of the police statistics. So I really hope the crime system had like maybe like a fresh overhaul as well. It was something I felt like was always kind of lacking in Cities 1. So some really cool stuff. Nothing really like to point out that hasn't been pointed out with the other info views. If you guys want to pause and take a look at it for yourself, but just nothing super crazy. But it does say average crime probability, which is interesting new mechanic. There's clearly some new crime mechanics. As we go into the next one, we have traffic view. There is a graph now to be able to see what your past traffic flows looked like. So you can see it in waves over a 24-hour period is what it looks like. So over a day-night cycle, I would assume. So that way you can see what your traffic looks like during the day and how your traffic flow looks like at night. Looks like obviously it's a little bit higher at night. $2.20 did say they played during a whole day-night cycle. So clearly everything kind of functions differently at night. They're toggling off traffic view and toggling it on, which means you're switching between the two. Which is pretty cool. That's how the info views kind of work. Over here, we can start to see the different zoning, as I said, with the industrial things. We have wheat, corn, there's chickens, cotton, lumber. They're going to show off the lumber industry here, but as you can see over here, you can see how much for each different specific industry, specialized industry of resource collection, you can begin to see the different details about them. So you can see they click on that and you see all the green, and so it highlights green just like in Cities 1, and then you can begin to see some lumber stuff and as the truck moves through. Now this wide shot here, we can see some soccer fields, we can see an American football field, looks to be like maybe a track surrounding it as well. Some kind of huge office medical esque looking building with some helipads. That's what it looks like here. So maybe this is a big hospital or something. So cool new hospital asset. And this is just kind of like the main core downtown. We can see this cool castle bridge over here. And we just kind of have like a cool wide shot. Nothing really too crazy to show off here. And then we can see it transition into winter. Don't worry, the bitrate in the crappiness is just because of my download of the game, or VLC media player kind of messing up. But there is seasons in this, and as we can see, we're going to begin to quickly zoom out. But you can see if we go and look at these roofs, it's like speckled on. It's like painted almost, where it's not fully covering the building's roofs, but it's covering most of it. It looks like some of it's maybe melted away. I have no idea if that's just permanently how it is. If it gets a light snowfall, it does that. If it gets a heavy snowfall, maybe it covers it. But I'm just happy that like it doesn't just create like a very fixed, thick blanket of snow like it did in the Snowfall DLC. I'm just excited for Seasons, and $2.20 said that the seasons were one of their favorite parts about Cities too. So that's really cool. I love, I'm currently doing a small town fall-esque build on my Twitch stream, and I absolutely love the idea of having seasons in the game and just being permanently in fall. So I'm very excited for this. So you zoom out, now it's nighttime as well. And they say you make cities. You can see the beautiful lights coming out of these skyscrapers, which is super cool. And the different lights and the glows of the city. Very cool. As we zoom out, and then this is the cinematic. So that's all the stuff that we got from City Skylines 2 in the trailer. There's a ton of information baked in this trailer that if you don't take the second to pause and look and actually know what you're looking for, you probably missed. So if I missed something, because there's a ton of information in here, drop it in the comments for me. And if you guys want to pop by my Twitch stream sometime, pop in and say hello. Please feel free to do that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. If there was something more you guys wanted to see, or if we get more trailers, I'll make sure to upload them. Have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you guys on October 24th when the game launches. Bye-bye!